Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 858, Arsenal Limping to the Title. Hello, Big Chillians. Welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. Eddie, how's it going?
Yeah, things are going pretty well. How are you?
Doing well. I'm out in Breckenridge, Colorado. Still pitch black outside. Enjoying a nice early morning chat with you.
Hotel looks nice. Looks fabulous. The background view, the backdrop of your room is really impressive.
They're slightly outdated. I guess the benefit is it's at a ski resort where it's like the hotel is at the base of the resort. You know what I mean? So like you can literally go out this resort and start skiing. So I guess that's the benefit, but it is one of those like now it's slightly outdated. 15 years ago, it was kind of nice. 10 years ago, it was a little old. Now it's like, yeah, this is kind of weird.
Yeah. No,
But
it's good. I
Breckenridge
mean,
is
it
really nice. It's a cool
continues
city.
the trend of you
Yeah.
attending conferences in places that shouldn't host conferences.
Well, this is a big one, I think, because you get a lot of people. This is a way to get Europeans to come to the conference. You
I'm
promise
sure.
them nice skiing.
I'm sure. Look, don't get me wrong, and I sometimes selectively choose the conferences I go to based on their location. So I 100% get it. If you're organizing a conference, a lot easier to sell someone on Breckenridge or Banff than it is to sell them on, I don't know, Hartford, Connecticut. But it does feel like conferences should take place in places that. I mean, next week I'm going to Brussels for a conference. That feels like a place that should host a conference.
I have a conference in Brussels.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're going from the US, I guess it's mildly exotic as someone based in Europe. Traveling to Brussels, to me, is the equivalent of telling me I have a conference in Pittsburgh. Like, it's not. I'll have a nice time.
I had a conference in Pittsburgh 2 years ago.
You did. That's when you got a good story out of that. That was that time you nearly got killed in an Uber.
Yeah, there you go.
See, that's why you should attend
Almost
more
got shot
conferences.
down, and that's why.
Yeah.
And that's why they're not in Pittsburgh anymore.
Yeah.
Fucking hell! I put that out of my memory. Jesus Christ! I got caught in a drive-by. It's not. I guess it's not a drive-by if it was a targeted drive-by.
No.
But yeah, a shitty day of traveling with cancellations and things like that. Always great to see people at the airport who have their flights canceled due to weather and find it necessary to scream at like the airline employees as if it's like their fault that a blizzard is rolling through half the country. Like I don't understand people at that point. I get like if it's a Delta issue, like they just randomly canceled
Yeah.
a flight and now you're screwed out of a vacation. But like when you're traveling and you see that there are parts of this country that are getting 20 plus inches of snow and 70 per hour winds, like you can't be yelling at an employee whose job it is to just put up like a canceled sign on the flight. Like it's not
Yeah.
their fault,
And look,
man.
I can understand someone being frustrated, disappointed, annoyed, kind of angry in general because you never know. You're missing vacation time. You're missing an incredibly important meeting that can't be rescheduled. You could be flying to a funeral or to a wedding or
Yeah.
something where the impact on your life could be huge. But when you know it's outside of anyone's control, I don't get taking that out on someone else. Like
Yeah.
I can understand going and sitting in your seat and being sad, annoyed, whatever. Like this is feeling sorry for yourself because it's really unlucky. And if only you'd booked your flight the day before, you would have been perfectly fine and already at your destination. But it's not like Delta controls the weather. So what are they
No.
going to do about it?
Yeah. And I felt so bad. I mean, we were stuck in about, I don't know, 9 hours in the airport, but actually made a flight, which was great. Originally, we weren't even supposed to make the flight that day. We just went because we were on standby and was hoping to go and ended up getting on it. But at the lounge, I was talking to one of the women who helps people, one of the employees who was helping people, and I sat down with her, and she could tell I was nice, like in a good, like I wasn't there to yell at her, and I was just kind of genuinely asking her, because there was someone else traveling with me and she was much lower on the standby list. And I kind of said, we either have to be going together or not at all. So is there a way you can kind of put us together or something like that? And we were talking and then she kind of like looked at me and she's like, "Do you mind if I just, like, take a quick bathroom break?" She's like, "I haven't had a break in 9 hours." And I was like, "Please go ahead." Like, like, "I'm not gonna yell at you or anything." She's like, "Oh my god, thank you so much." And, like, right off, I was like, "Damn, I feel bad for this woman. She's had to sit here for 9 hours listening to people scream at her about how their
As soon
flight
as
to
she
Prague
as
is
soon as
delayed."
she got up, you should have just lost your mind and be like, "Can you?"
No, I hopped behind the desk and I gave myself a first class ticket.
But it's,
Yeah.
yeah, it sucks. Travel disruption always sucks.
But yeah, now I'm here. The only issue I have is I normally don't get affected by the altitude very much, and I'm wondering if maybe it was because I was in Tucson, which is at least a little bit elevation. I think it's like it was like 1,000 elevation, 1,000 feet, so a little bit. But then also hiking a lot more over there, I would get to higher elevations. But the first day here, I was hurt and trying to sleep. Like it was a little hard to breathe. I woke up, my blood oxygen
That's
level was 89%.
that's just your blood clot. It's just your blood
It
clot
could
ma
be.
making its way up your body. It's
Yeah,
just
it's just
saying
in the lungs
hello
now.
as it moves along before you get to be a star on the pit, it's just
Yeah. So that was a little rough the first day. I've never had altitude, sickness kinda thing hit, but here we are.
yeah. Well, I guess
Getting old.
transitioning into the world of sports, maybe do a catch up on a topic that we discussed a couple of months ago,
Oh,
um,
oh, not
and just
what
it's
is
not
it?
live golf. It's don't
Okay,
worry.
thank you. I thought it was live
It's
golf for a
it's
second.
none of the topics that you really hate. It's news coming out of AFCON on the back.
Oh,
The drama that sort of overshadowed the outcome of the final of the African Cup of Nations uh, when Morocco, Senegal left the pitch and after the penalty was awarded, and then they went to extra time, and then eventually Senegal won. The CAF, the African Football Federation, has heard an appeal from the Moroccan Football Federation, and they have decided to award AFCON 2025 to Morocco. So officially now the result
wait, really?
is yes, the result is now officially a 3-0 win for Morocco as far as the history books are concerned.
That's crazy.
The thing I don't know about that is, like, does it matter? Like, yeah, I guess if you're a player, now you get to say one, and there's probably maybe some financial incentives for some of those players from
Yeah.
sponsors they might have, so maybe that's meaningful. But if you didn't get to celebrate there in the moment, as a fan, I wouldn't care at all. Like, if for
Maybe they
some
go
reason
back. Do they go back to the pitch and
and
just pretend
lift
as
the
if they had won and lift it?
like,
Lift the
if you
trophy?
told me now that some drama, some scandal to do with Italy in for Euro 2020 means that they've now were disqualified from the tournament, and England are now officially considered to have won Euro 2020. What do I care? Like, if you didn't get to live the actual passion and enjoyment of the moment when it occurred, it's just sort of
I mean,
it,
that's almost
it,
like an absolute worst case scenario for you.
oh yeah,
Because
it
you'd
is.
rather them lose anyway, but then to have them win, but to not even be able to celebrate the excitement, but
Yeah.
then to have the fact that, they don't always lose, that's an absolute lose-lose for you.
Oh, if I were Moroccan, I'd be appealing this decision. I'd be if I was just a fan of Morocco, I would be going to the courts right now and saying, "No, no, 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 no. This sticks with Senegal. I don't want my fandom to be slightly tainted by this hollow victory that you've awarded to us."
Yeah, and then also, what does it mean on the Senegal side as well? Like, how do you feel as a player now? Like, you were awarded the trophy, you celebrated, think you're the winners, and then now you're not the winners? Do you still just think you
Yeah.
are?
Yeah, and it raises all sorts of questions, right? So again, let's say you had an incentive that got paid out. You're sponsored by Nike, and they have in your contract, "Oh, if you win AFCON, we give you an extra 500,000 euros." You're paying that money back now. How does that work? Let's say how do you feel, for example? I mean, you're not like you're getting it's not the US, right? You're not getting championship rings, but you might have conceivably gone and bought yourself something to sort of commemorate this victory. I don't know. Let's throw out, you went and got yourself a nice watch and you kind of thought to yourself, "Oh, whenever I put this watch on, I will
You
think of
engraved it.
winning."
Let's go one step further. You
Yes,
engraved it.
2025 AFCON champions on the back. And now you gotta take it back to Rolex and get the engraving sort of removed or amended with little asterisks added. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a weird one. I don't know how I would feel as either player, and I don't really know if I would care that much as either player.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, what happened on the pitch was like what happened. Yeah, it's weird.
It also raises all sorts of questions. There was speculation, right, that Morocco agreed to miss that penalty to get
Yeah.
the Senegalese players back onto the pitch. Like, so did that not happen? And if it did happen, because I
What a
always
move
wondered
by
that,
them.
because they made this agreement, right? Okay, I'll do this terrible Panenka down the middle. You'll just stand there and it will be saved. Why not just score? Like at the moment they come back onto the pitch, just score and they go 1-0. Oh, game over. Like that's sorry about that. Like if you guys want to leave again now, we're actually winning the match. So this is a very simple equation.
Yeah.
Like what's the worst that could possibly happen other than I suppose the Senegalese players just attacking you?
Yeah, I mean, and you could just be like, "Oh, you said don't score. I thought you said
Yeah.
score. I didn't hear
Yeah.
the don't."
I didn't say
Ah,
I didn't say stand in the middle. I said I definitely won't go down the middle. That's
yeah,
all I
yeah.
said to you.
I said
But
anything but the middle is what I'll
yeah.
do.
But no, it's kind of strange. So yeah, that's catching up on. Once again, we have a history of obviously some podcast topics that we discuss becoming immediately outdated, as we did in the last episode where we spoke about Max Crosby
Yeah.
going to going to the Ravens, and an hour after we finished that episode, the Ravens announced that they had withdrawn their offer for the trade and that he was sticking with the Raiders. This one took a little bit more time to be resolved, but I guess it still updates the a previous episode.
Yeah, and the Max Crosby one also kind of weird. I don't know if we discussed a little bit after he was recently on his podcast and was pretty open about talking about it. The weird thing is apparently the Ravens had told him that or I people had within the Ravens organization had said that they were going to sign Crosby and Hendrickson. They were gonna sign them both. But then that this one fell through because of his knee, which seems very suspicious when then you sign the other main free agent in the same position, even though they say they were gonna sign both. It's really strange. He had 2 strange comments. I don't know if you saw it, or listened to his podcast or the quotes that came out of it. The first one was that even after, like, they brought him in, they basically sat him down and said, like, "Hey, welcome. We're really excited to have you here. We've got an issue." And then kind of told him about the knee and this and that. And then they kinda said, like, "Don't worry, like, we're still gonna get a deal done." And then someone called them 5 minutes before they, like, voided the trade being like, "Don't worry, we're working on our end. We're gonna get this deal done one way or another." And then 5 minutes later, his agent was like, "Yeah, they're out." Like, I don't know where the miscommunication is there. I don't know if that guy was just out of the loop or if he's just or they're just being assholes, but that was really weird. I don't know if you
But
saw that part.
could it not just be a scenario where the Ravens still sort of wanted him, but had concerns about his knee, and so now they're going back to the Raiders and they want an offer that
Yeah.
they think reflects that risk. So they still need to make him feel like we really want you. Like I can kind of get if you're the Ravens, I guess you could be a little bit more transparent about how much you feel like the deal itself needs to be updated to reflect this concern. But then at the same time, if you then end up getting the deal done, you then have Max Crosby signing for you, feeling like you guys didn't want me that badly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it must be a tough thing to kind of manage both sides of that.
Yeah. And then the other one, I don't know if you saw, was he was not very happy that flying him out to Baltimore, they flew him only first class and only to Washington, D.C., because that was the only direct flight. And then he had to drive a whole 2 hours to get to Baltimore. And he was very unhappy about that travel situation. But then commented on the return flight, they flew him private. He was like, "At least they flew me private at the end."
That's reason enough for me that I would never sign him. And had he raised that concern, if I worked at the Ravens, had he raised that concern when he arrived, like if any comment had come out of that he was a bit annoyed that he flew commercial and that he had to, and let's say this, he didn't drive, like there would have been a car picking him up at that airport and he just had to sit in the back of an Escalade or something. You know what I mean? It's not like he went to Hertz and picked up his rental car and then had confusion like, oh, I thought it was Enterprise, actually it was Hertz, and then I thought I was getting this type of car, but the only thing they had left in the lot was just like this 2002 Honda Civic that I had to drive here in. Like none of that happened. He got picked up by someone and driven there. Who really cares? But
I mean, the crazy part is like a lot of people are on Max Crosby's side here. I've seen a lot of Instagram reels being like, "I can't believe Baltimore would do that." Like, they would sign this player and then make him fly commercial. It's
people are
like
just so
it's
see,
like
I don't get people.
Joe Flacco had to, like, hole up in the bathroom of of an airplane
Yeah.
to get from Cleveland to wherever this season.
And that's the thing that's insane, right? Is when Joe Flacco does it, we praise him for being like a normal person, but at the same time, the same people who would praise Joe Flacco will now also criticize the Ravens for not sort of having a plane that flies just for Max Crosby and his entourage. But like, if I had worked for the Ravens, I would have stuck him on a connecting flight, like 3 connections with Spirit. And I would have gone, not, you're not our problem now anymore. Like, we do not give a shit if you're gonna complain about the fact that you only flew first class. I saw the clip. There's that weird podcast that's being done,
The Ringer?
with Benny no, uh, with, Lil Dicky and Benny Blanco. Have you seen that? Where they're, like, sorta holed up in a house and they're doing this weird streaming/podcast thing. It's actually kinda interesting to see clips of. Not that I'm a huge fan of either Benny Blanco or Lil Dicky,
That
but
sounds like hell to me, but I'll
it's
pass.
actually more interesting than you think, but they had Ed Sheeran in the house as part of it because obviously he and Benny Blanco worked together quite a lot, and they were sort of live, like, they were kind of making a new track sort of live as part of the streaming, but then there's another woman in there who obviously is famous, but I do not know who she is, who I
Selena
saw
Gomez?
no, I would know who that was. But and she asked Ed Sheeran if he ever flies commercial, and he says he always flies commercial. And his reasoning for doing it is like if you told someone that they needed to sit in an airport lounge for a couple of hours, sign 2 or 3 autographs, and got paid $150,000 in exchange for it, like, why would you ever think like, that sounds like a good deal? And so he's just not willing to pay exorbitant sums of money just for to avoid the mild inconvenience of, like, 3 fans recognizing him while he sits somewhere. But that's a that's a more healthy perspective from someone who's way more famous and should expect way more pampering than Max Crosby.
Yeah. Crosby's exact quote was, "We had to drive 2 hours from DC after the 5-hour flight, bro. That shit was fucking weak."
Yeah. What an asshole. Honestly, what
I knew you'd
I
love
already
that.
said
I knew you'd love that.
last episode, I already said that I hated him. I hate him even more now. Like, I hated him previously for sort of perceived attitude issues. Now he's just put it down in black and white that there are reasons for me to think that he's just an
Raiders
entitled
colors.
dick. Yeah, that he gets to stick with, so it's very fitting. I mean, he honestly,
Wait,
he
and then did you see
he's
the quote at the end was then he was like he kinda made the statement of that he's like, "Well, I guess, like, I'm a Raider for life, and this is where I
yeah.
belong." Like, and I'm happy to be back where I belong. It's like, "Really?" Because 3 days ago, you were really happy to be leaving.
He in fairness for him, he had made the comment when he thought the deal was going through that he wanted to finish his career with the Raiders. So he had already come out and said, like, yeah, he's going to the Ravens, but in an ideal world, he makes his way back to the Raiders to retire. But then that's, again, based on what he just said, to me, that's more him thinking, in the future, I could milk the Raiders for a contract that no one else will give me, like being able to play on the emotional side of bringing Max Crosby home for its final deal. Like, that's
On a
probably
private
an
jet.
yes. Get a private jet. He flies by himself to NFL games now. I mean, how does he possibly survive that? Deal if, like, goes to a game where he has to share the flight with the rest of his teammates and staff members of staff? That must be just awful. I guess we can discuss now one of the elephants in the room, which is Arsenal picked up another win this weekend, 2 late goals to beat Everton. Meanwhile, Manchester City slipped up with a 0-0 draw against West
Ugh,
Ham.
it's over.
It
It's
is over.
over.
It's over enough now that I
Uh,
am not going to even discuss the potential of anyone other than Arsenal winning the Premier League until someone has overtaken them. I'm not I
it's
don't care
over.
if they lose 3 games in a row. I will not do the "Our Arsenal blowing it" thing until it's being retired, until literally I look at a Premier League table and Manchester City are sitting above them.
Yeah, I got to watch that match with former co-host Sam, who was visiting. We watched. It was his flight was that day, so we watched the first half, which was a thrilling 0-0 draw in the first half. Just a masterclass by Arsenal of how to give minimal pressure and have minimal effort. And then we decided to grab lunch real quick. So we went to Matt's bar, got a Juicy Lucy down the road, and then we came back and watched like the last 30 minutes. And I got to see some pure, genuine excitement from an Arsenal fan when Gyökeres scored that, what was it, the 89th minute goal. He was very excited in a little corner of the couch cushion there.
Alright, that's making it sound creepy.
It was slightly creepy.
But yeah, look, I get it. I'm not trying to begrudge Arsenal supporters being happy with it, because if I were emotionally invested in Arsenal, I would be pleased to see them doing it. It's just it's terrible football. It's really, really bad, and it's not fun to watch them play ever. It wasn't fun to watch them play in the Champions League last night. They're just and this is the thing I'll say to the Arsenal fans, because everyone, "Oh, we haven't won in, what, 20 years, 23 years, whatever it's been. You know, it's just the all that matters is getting over the line." That's fine, but now, because the excuse for Arteta up until this point, in which he's been wildly unsuccessful in terms of number of trophies won relative to how much he's spent, has always been like, "We're building something." So that's okay. So all I'm gonna say is you also have to be held to a standard next season that is significantly higher than this. Because if they'll limp over the finish line playing some of the worst football in the Premier League, and we'll all say, "Well done, deserving champions, blah, 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 blah." Next season, you better entertain me. Because what I don't wanna hear is, "No, no, no, we have to play this way because the pressure of defending our title." Like, now, it's really important to sort of just establish ourselves that we're back-to-back champions, and then it will just never end, because then it'll be 3 in a row. That's a real achievement, so we can play awful football again if we wanna try and get the 3rd title in a row. Like, at a certain moment in time. Or next season when you're sitting 3rd and you're also playing awful football, Arteta needs to get sacked, because you're basically saying the only thing that matters is points on the table. It doesn't matter the style in which you're playing or anything. So that's all I'm going to say. I'm preparing
Right.
myself now for next season in the ways that I can criticize them.
Well, I was gonna say I don't wanna jinx them, but I don't really care if I jinx them or not. But they are
Jinx
in
them all
I
you
mean, you're
want. I would love it.
thank you. Okay. You're in a slight unfortunate situation as well because, I mean, right now, they're still in line for a treble, and that would be a very big nightmare scenario for you.
Oh, I mean, I don't. Oh, here's the thing: is I don't really care. Like, it
Yeah,
doesn't.
but you don't think they're deserving of that. So not only like
The
it'd be one
treble.
thing
The
to win the
treble would be a
Premier League,
difficult.
but
Yeah,
to
the
win
treble
to
would
win a
be.
treble at
And here's the
this
thing is, I
level.
wanna be clear. They gotta win the real treble. I do not give a shit if they win the League Cup, the Champions League, and the Premier League. That is not the treble.
Okay.
Like, they need to win the treble, which is the FA Cup, the Champions
Yeah.
League, and the Premier League. Like,
They're
this is
still in
not.
it. Yeah.
No, I know, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
before Arsenal fans try and spin this, it's like when Liverpool several seasons ago, I mean, this is probably going back 20 years, there was a season when they won the League Cup, the FA Cup, and the UEFA Cup, the 2nd-tier European trophy, and they tried to call that the treble. That was an outrageous move.
It's a treble. It's not the
Yeah.
treble.
Yeah, like, it does not count. You're saying you can't throw the Community Shield in as, yeah, it's the first piece of silverware of the calendar, so that counts towards it. If they win all 4, I'm fine with them calling that the quadruple. That's okay. But the League Cup cannot take the place of the FA Cup and the treble.
Fair enough.
Yes. I have spoken, and I know that I hold a great deal of authority when it comes to these matters. So, but yeah, that's and yeah, we'll obviously probably speak next episode. The League Cup final is this weekend, so that will be an interesting thing. It will be interesting to see the way in which they play in a final, and whether they, City, who are reeling slightly, having not only slipped up at the weekend, but then, I mean, they faced an uphill task going back to Manchester 3-0 down against Real Madrid, having Bernardo Silva sent off 20-ish minutes into the game fundamentally ended it as a contest. We can speak briefly about that match. It's pretty disappointing. There was a little bit of a flare up at the end when Pep Guardiola was walking around shaking the hands of the Real Madrid players, and Rudiger seemed to appear to say something that Pep Guardiola did not take well. They then had to be separated. And and I got to tread really carefully over how I phrase the next bit, which
Oh
is
boy, here we go. I love
Vinicius
this.
Jr. obviously does not deserve, nor does any other person or footballer or anything, racial abuse, homophobic abuse, anything. But maybe, and this is not me justifying anything he's been on the receiving end. Maybe, though, he needs to tone down a little bit of the asshole behavior of himself, like scoring the penalty yesterday and then doing the crying baby thing to the City supporters, and always doing his like weird sexual salsa that he has to do where he kind of humps the corner flag. Like let's maybe take it down a notch or two. Again, that doesn't mean that if he does it, that it doesn't mean you could say whatever you want to him because he's
Ooh.
annoyed you. I'm not doing that. I know it's a very difficult needle to thread, and that this can be clipped and interpreted. I'll go Bill Simmons. People better not aggregate me on this, but that doesn't mean like we can both be critical of him for being an asshole whilst also saying that the treatment that he receives is completely unacceptable. Like two things can be true. And he's an asshole. And Real Madrid are turning themselves into an incredibly unlikable team collectively. Like, I hope that they do not win the Champions League either. Unfortunately, the list of teams that I am okay with winning the Champions League is getting shorter and shorter, but there's still one or two hopes.
Especially with Bodo Glimt's
Yeah, that would have been
blow
great.
up.
Their collapse. The collapse
So
that we all thought would
unfortunate.
happen last round against Juventus, unfortunately for them, happened this round against Sporting.
So unfortunate.
It's sad. The sad thing about it too is like taking that 3-0 lead to Portugal and then losing in the manner in which they did, which is Sporting won 3-0 in regular time, then won 5-0 in the end of the match, but 2-0 in extra time. It kind of takes a little bit of the shine off of the Bodo Glimt story, because sort of blowing the lead, like if they'd just been protecting a 1-0 lead, or if even Sporting had just won both legs, you still would have gone, what a miraculous run. But when you kind of go like, you guys shouldn't be blowing a 3-0 second leg lead, it's a shame.
You know who didn't blow the next round? Team USA after they beat the USSR already. And that's
Oh,
why it is a miraculous win when they beat them.
okay. All right, we'll get onto that in a little bit because that topic is lined up slightly, so we can move back to that. The really interesting news, just kind of rounding up the Champions League discussion. Bayern Munich obviously they play tonight against Atalanta in the second leg with a very commanding lead. I don't think there's any reason to think that Bayern Munich are at risk of being knocked out. However, Manuel Neuer is out with a muscle fiber tear. Jonas Erbig is out with a
Wait, is
concussion.
that the
And
official thing? A muscle fiber tear?
yes,
They had to
and
add fiber in there.
yeah, and Sven Ulrich is out with a muscle tear. So not fiber tear, just muscle tear.
That's amazing.
That's
The specificity of
yeah.
that injury report. Damn.
Which means that Harry Kane is now the most experienced goalkeeper in the Bayern Munich first team squad, because he is the only player
Wow.
left in their first team squad who has ever stepped foot onto a professional footballing pitch and gone in goal. That was obviously when he's had to fill in scenarios where a player's been sent off, not as if he has started his career as a goalkeeper. But now obviously Harry Kane will not be starting. In addition to this, their reserve Their first team reserve goalkeeper is also out injured, so it will be a 16-year-old will be playing for Bayern Munich in goal tonight. Um, I think he'll be okay because based on the first leg, I'm not sure he's going to do much. Like, I think you or I might be able to guide Bayern Munich through to the next round with just playing in goal because we may not be called into action very much, but be interesting to see if that causes any extra panic for Bayern.
That's crazy to be down that much per keeper. I guess speaking of 16-year-olds, we didn't mention with Arsenal, Max Dowman scored.
Yep. I was wondering where that sentence was going for you, but yeah, he did. He looks a very good player for sure.
Yeah.
And again, this is the thing is for Arsenal, that's a
And
very exciting attacking player. I hope that he is not castrated by Arteta's anti-football approach. Yeah, I went,
oh
I
boy,
went there.
I didn't know where that sentence was going for you.
The aggregators better not get us on the talking about 16-year-old castration. That's going to be a real killer.
And he's the youngest Premier League scorer ever, right? It wasn't just for Arsenal. I think he was. I think that's what it said. Yeah, it is. That's 16 years and 73 days.
Yeah, he just beat out James Vaughan, who is 16 years, 270 days. So he had 200 days to play with. But
I was thinking about watching that after he scored and kind of was like celebrating with the other players. It is kind of weird when you think about he's celebrating with people who are like some of them in their mid-30s and he's a 16-year-old kid. Like what and like you can tell they're talking and they're joking. And part of me's thinking like, what can they possibly even be saying to each other? It's such a
yeah, I mean,
difference.
how he gets treated too, right? Like he has to get changed separately. He has his own dressing room that he has to use. Like he has to have a separate room because for sort of child protection purposes, he's too young
Yeah.
to be like getting naked in front of other men. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic. He's obviously still in school, so he's like turning up to school on Monday having scored a goal in the Premier League has to be a kind of bizarre experience, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, that being said, I speak to people who are 15 years younger than me at times and at least can have, as do you, through your, I mean, more than I do. I mean,
Yeah.
you can hold a conversation with them. It might not be the most interesting thing. Your point of references in life are not the same, but you might still.
Yeah.
Now, you teed us up. You wanted to praise, let's, Miracle on Ice, so miraculous. Last night, the
Yeah.
United States in the World Baseball Classic lost to Venezuela,
Oh, who cares
which
about baseball?
that's fine. We can not care, but I just want to say two things about it because ultimately, the World Baseball Classic, again, it happens too frequently to really matter too much. And then also, I think it's nice though for the World Baseball Classic
For
that a team other than the US or Japan winning to kind of
Yeah.
legitimize the tournament of like, this is not just a procession for these two countries and like,
Yeah.
no, like, but
And like we talked about too, I think it's more fun for smaller nations
yeah,
and countries, where they don't get the opportunity to probably even play against some of these players and get a little bit of a spotlight and have, a fun week or tournament or whatever.
yeah. And the Venezuelans, given everything that's going on in their country, you could tell it meant a lot to them. So I think meant arguably more for them than it did to Bryce Harper, or I'm not singling him out, but any of the American players. Two things though. I get to have a little anti-American rant here.
Definitely a butt here coming.
I sent you the link. I think I sent you an article or a comment or like an Instagram post about how like prior to the game last like sometime ahead of their semifinal game, like was it against Italy or that the US had someone from SEAL Team 6 who killed Osama bin Laden come and speak to them. US, let's tone this down a little bit. We don't have to kind of have a military mindset for all things. I appreciate that it's not uncommon for teams in the build up to tournaments to maybe go to some kind of like military retreat where you go through some kind of boot camp experience to try and bond you. I'm okay with that, but maybe you can get someone else from the world of sport to come in. The US is not exactly bereft of solid options. And then they all yesterday going into the game, they all wore game-worn jerseys from the US men's hockey team.
Yeah, I saw that. What's wrong
Uh,
with that? I would wear
it's
one
just
if I had one.
it's just It's kind of a loser move.
I
Like,
don't think so.
you're the United States. You're going to play Venezuela. You're overwhelming favorites for the game. You again, in the men's hockey,
So you
you're one
can't
of
so you
two.
can't be patriotic and support
You're patriotic by
another.
showing you're patriotic by showing up to play for your country. You don't need additional patriotism. This is what America needs to figure out that the rest of the world is used to because we play international sports all the time. You don't have to like raise the bar of patriotism. You're out there representing your country in the World Baseball Classic and trying to win a trophy on behalf of your country with USA emblazoned on your chest. That's patriotism. You don't have to go like, how can we make it extra patriotic before we go out? The England
Oh,
football
I
team
think there's
doesn't like
nothing wrong with that.
the England football you would
So the
laugh.
so the England men's team would never wear like a women's jersey in support of the England women's team.
What? That's not the same thing.
Why
They
is that
didn't
the same
wear
thing?
Oh, they wore the men's US hockey team. If that had been a statement from the baseball team of like, "Let's wear" do you know what actually on the back of what everything that happened in the fallout of the Winter Olympics, we'll wear the US women's jersey to this to kind of make a statement that we think women's sports are underappreciated. I would be okay with that. They wore the men's jerseys. They weren't making a
Yeah, 'cause
if anything, you wanna say a
but the
statement,
men won. But I but I'm s
it was an extra middle finger to the women's team of like, "Do you know what? Actually, only the men's count."
No, I think they're
No,
just supporting another team that won. I mean, I picked the women's England team because that's the only English national team that ever wins anything. So I
that's
was
not
just
true at all.
picking actual
No, no,
winners.
we've won a cricket World Cup, rugby World Cup. We can run through a list of things that England have won in the last 2 decades. But if, for example, uh, let's say England had won the cricket World Cup this sort of a week ago. If then the men's then if the England football team went out for a match this World Cup this summer wearing England cricket uni "Oh, this is Joss Butler's game-worn uniform from the win against New Zealand." I would've gone, "What fucking losers are you? Just focus on what you need to do." Like, we don't need to you're not fanboying out over what the other team has done. Like, if Bryce Harper independently, if someone from the US men's hockey team gives him a game-worn jersey and Bryce Harper goes on a night out and is in a bar wearing a men's cool. That's I'm not saying I wouldn't want the jersey or I wouldn't wear it, but doing this, like, cosplaying as a hockey player going to a baseball game that you're going to play in, w where if I'd been Venezuela, I would have walked in there and gone, "We've fucking beaten them already. These guys are fucking losers." Like, we
Man, this is this is like an aggressive statement on someone just wearing something pregame to a
it's not
match
one
when
player, the
people wear the
whole team did it.
craziest stuff. That's fine though,
It's
but I mean, like people do like crazy, stupid pregame outfits all the
and I make
time
fun of
and
those
have like
too.
matching outfits.
I've already made fun of, like, LeBron James cosplaying as a businessman when he shows up to an NBA game in a suit carrying a briefcase. I've made fun of that too. But this weird thing of, like, what's the statement? What out of interest, what's the goal you're trying to achieve by all wearing the men's hockey game-worn jerseys? What's the statement?
I would say it's probably something along the lines of like we're supporting the US team who came together and won, and now we're kind of trying to do the same, like come together as a team and also win in a similar manner kind of thing.
But the US wins things they win things all the time. Like, again, you're not if Venezuela did this, if Venezuela had, like, one Olympian at the Winter Olympics who'd won something and they'd made a big deal out of this, be like, "Guys, we're fucking Venezuelans. It's a big deal when we win something. Like, this is we don't get to be on front and center on the world sporting stage very often, so when we get our wins, we milk them for all it's worth." I would be like, "You know what? I get it. It's the fucking United States of America." Yeah, again, you guys, I know you're Americans. You're in the forest. You can't see the trees. But like you guys, you're tr you're kinda trying to be like the Death Star at all times. It's just like, just tone it down, guys.
Man,
I mean, when did the US last win the World Baseball Classic? Just out of interest, so I can see past winners. Oh, 2017. Been a long time since the US last won. Oh,
almost
boy.
10 years.
Well, it was 2 tournament actually, I get it 'cause COVID obviously disrupted it, so it's 2 tournaments ago. They lost last time to Japan in the final, and they oh, classic. I remember it well when they beat Puerto Rico 8-0 in the final of the 2017 World Baseball Classic. Anyway, that's it. Just the US, just like in the worlds of Erling Haaland, stay humble. Like, just try and just for a minute, just give the world not a reason to hate you a little bit more. Like, I honestly think you could convince me. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think there's an Illuminati out there. If you wanted to tell me there was an Illuminati who just every once in a while were gathering, like, how could we make the US just be a little bit less likable today? Like, guys, we haven't done anything too bad for a couple days. Let's just try and make sure. Like, no one's got a strong opinion on the World Baseball Classic. How do we make these multi millionaires who are representing their country? How do we make them just seem like douches? Is that possible? Oh, here we go. Send them some game worn jerseys. Make them walk out like it's Halloween.
Well, if they want to send us some game worn jerseys for when we record the podcast, please send them away. I'll wear it.
Yeah, but I won't wear like a Bill Simmons game worn, like a podcasting worn shirt while I podcast.
You know what? I would wear a Bill Simmons podcast worn shirt if someone sends that to me.
Be like, oh, where do you draw the line? What item of clothing of Bill Simmons's would you not wear? If he sent you his worn underwear, are you throwing that on for the next episode?
Over my jeans.
Oh, well, like Superman.
Yes.
All right, there's my US rant. I haven't had one in a while, so I really had to let it
I
get it
don't
out
know
of me.
about that. Seems pretty consistent.
But yeah, but it's been a little bit of time.
Actually, speaking of the US, this is a topic we've talked about a few times on the podcast about how I guess the American system favors people sometimes having crazy lawsuits that,
Mhm.
might not happen anywhere else in the world. And, the one everyone always discusses is obviously the super hot coffee incident where that woman or person won millions of dollars, but it actually ended up that they had very severe burns and the coffee was actually hotter than it was. So that was actually almost a legitimate lawsuit. But, those types of things. Um, a German tourist recently had a lawsuit dismissed. He visited New York City and visited I don't want to get this wrong. It was the Los Tacos number one in New York City, a pretty famous taco shop. And apparently he had
Number 1,
salsa
according to some people.
some people, not everyone. Um, it's actually just the first one of the many stores they had. But he was suing for $100,000 in damages because his salsa was too spicy. And apparently he said he bought 3 tacos, and this is the actual story. He bought 3 tacos and then went to the offerings at the restaurant's self-service salsa bar. And he said, "As I had no idea how dangerous these sauces could be or which ingredients are put in the sauces, I started putting a lot of sauces inside my tacos." He alleged he experienced unpleasant symptoms, including burning in his mouth and tongue, an increased heart rate, nausea, and tongue blisters. He later returned to his hotel where he took medications for diarrhea, acid reflux, and stomach cramps.
No,
And he
just
said
all
there
of
was
it. Just covered all of his
yes, all of
bases.
it.
Coming out of every hole. It's also not coming out properly. Oh god, just
He said there was absolutely no warnings at all, nothing written, apparently. But
here
the judge did not agree with this and ruled out and said that, first off, it was a self service and he never asked anyone, a customer or an employee about the contents of the salsa and put a very large amount on at his own volition.
so here's the thing is, this does seem completely stupid, and it also sounds like he put way too much salsa on a taco. Like, it's
Yeah.
not it's not something you smother in salsa typically.
It's not a
But
salsa taco. It's like a
no.
beef taco with some salsa.
Yeah, you're dipping it a little bit in, maybe. It's not supposed to
Yeah.
be, like, really covering, but here's the only thing I will say, and I'm gonna presume this isn't the case because this is a popular New York destination. If you told me that they had, like, a Carolina Reaper salsa and there was 0 warning on that, and that's what he's done, okay, you can have some complaints. But if we're
Yeah.
going to, it's just like, it's
It's
the
like pico de
spicy
gallo.
salsa. Yeah, it's like, if this is just, oh yeah, that's pretty spicy salsa. Now, admittedly, tongue blisters do sound pretty bad. If that's actually happened, I've had hot food in my life where gone, that's too hot for me. I've never had my tongue blister. But yeah, this does sound kind of dumb.
Yeah, I also agree. I didn't think it was I mean, and I can just picture this guy just loading his tacos with salsa. And I mean, because you have to ask if it's hot. Because any especially, I mean, living in Arizona, you'd often frequent taco shops where they just had salsas out. And you could do one of two things. Either they give you little cups that you can put your salsas in. You put them in a cup and then you give a little test, right? You give like, let me try this one. Oh, that one's hot. I'm not going to put that one on. I don't just load it on and then find out what happens after. Or you just find someone and say, like, what's the mild one? What's the hot one? It's not very difficult to ask these questions.
Or just someone else serving themselves. You can also do that. You could just be like
Yeah.
someone else who've maybe been there before and be like, "Oh, how hot is that one that you're throwing on?" It's not bad. You'll be fine. Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, if you don't really like hot food, then I'd have that one." And I'm gonna guess they probably were almost sequential, which is often the case, where you go,
Yeah.
left is the mildest, right is the hottest. Like, this is
No,
not
they
the
did it
most
hot, hot, and hot. They were all the same, but they just had different
it's
colors.
it's not the most complicated system to find out usually. And I'd also say this, if this was like 1990 where Mexican food hadn't really spread internationally and maybe as a German, like this is your first time like seeing salsa in your life and so you're just like, "Oh, is this like a marinara sauce that I throw on everything? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing with this?" Mexican food is everywhere now. I'm assuming that Germany probably has Chipotle. I don't know. Never really paid attention to that, but probably or some other similar Mexican chain thing.
Yeah.
And every supermarket's going to be selling like Old El Paso salsa. You will have experienced it. And on top of it
Oh,
too, Germany's a country where people fucking love like the currywurst
curry,
sausage.
the currywurst. They're
And
animals.
is this a guy who walks into like one of those like sausage places, just like just blindly throw it on? Like I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll just eat it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Oh, and actually, speaking of Sam and speaking of America, um, it just won't be a political in a way, but just a funny side story. We were at one of the hockey games. So we went to two hockey games. We went to a Minnesota Wild game and then a Minnesota Frost, the women's team. And both were fun games. A lot of goals we got to see and some good action. But during intermissions, the Zamboni come out and now this is kind of like a little bit of an Eddie rant. Is the Zamboni time has just gotten crazy. Where it used to be just a guy comes out on the Zamboni and does his job. Now there's like multiple Zambonis. There's like people riding on the backs of them. They're like celebrating things on them. This time at the women's game, they had two Zambonis and then they had like a third one that looked like a shopping cart, and people were like inside the cart like as like a almost like a hayride you would take kind of like around. It's gotten out of control. But there was a woman on on it's kind of funny. There was a woman on the back of one who was like, selected to take the ride, and she had a sign with her. And the sign said, according to Sam, the sign said, "No ice, no kings, and no VAR." And he was
three
like,
three
"Man,
important topics.
she's super anti-VAR."
It's ruining football.
It was so funny that's like but it was number 3. In fairness, it was number 3. There was more timely topics. She was definitely a little more political, but she still hated VAR enough that it had to get on that sign.
Yeah,
That sign was promptly ripped away by a security guard.
I admire
He's
that.
pro
That's good
VAR.
fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But we had a really good laugh at that when he was like, "No VAR."
Any other, I guess, quickly, not that we've also gone out of sequence here, 2 small sporting topics to discuss. Going back to football, one of which is Chelsea ahead of their match against PSG last night. I don't know if you saw, but their lineup was leaked sort of like 24 hours ahead of time in the French media, which is the second time both of Chelsea's matches against PSG have included their team being leaked to the media prior to formal announcements. So there is a
Do you
mole
think they're going
somewhere
to
within
appeal it
Chelsea.
and maybe they'll win?
Maybe, maybe. The other thing, sticking on the topic of Chelsea, they're in big trouble for potentially having paid people under the table. We'll see where this goes. I think unlike the Manchester City, 100 plus charges of various things that may be difficult to prove, I think Chelsea may be in some real problems here in terms of this might be very, very provable without having any of the complicated Manchester City thing of like, does this mean we'll void their titles? You know, this might be a straightforward decision for the FA for the Premier League, I suppose, to just decide that this is a financial punishment or a point talk for future seasons. And also from the weekend, I don't know if you saw any of the fiasco surrounding the Chelsea players. They're now doing this huddle round the ball thing before all the games that they've decided to do,
No. What
and
does that
very
do?
American. I remember when just to tell a slight story. When I was playing football when I was 15, and my grandfather was visiting, and, we did a huddle. We, like, came out onto the pitch and we did a huddle. Not round the ball, not Chelsea style, but just prior to kickoff, we did a little bit of a huddle. And then after the match, my grandfather was like, "What's the huddle thing all about? Like, what's you didn't already tell each other everything you needed to say before you got out on the pitch, so there's someone needed to be reminded of some key detail." Like, I can
One
kinda
la-
get it, but this
one last motivation.
yeah, exactly. "Bro, try your best, guys." But anyway, this was, they do this thing, they huddle round the ball, the referee got caught up in it at the weekend
He was in the
because
middle
he
of the huddle. He was just
yeah.
standing in the middle. Really?
Yes, it's a very awkward video to watch because he's
Oh, it's
standing
so
by the
funny.
ball, which is in the center circle. The Chelsea players start to form this huddle around him. Now he has ample opportunity to sneak out of the huddle.
He
However,
wanted to be in
he clearly is like, "I'm not moving for your dumb huddle."
huddle.
And the Chelsea players, they're playing chicken with each other. The Chelsea players decide, well, we aren't not doing our huddle, even if you're in the middle. There's some funny bits with Cole Palmer kind of interacting with him. He kind of tries to include the referee in the huddle at one point. He kind of like tries to bring him in. The referee does not do that. And you can see clips of just Cole Palmer like staring at him strangely. Um, and Liam Riss Sr., who continues to give some of the worst press conferences that I have ever seen. Yeah, I mean, he is Michael Scott, David Brent, like from The Office. He is just that, but as a professional football manager. His quote was, "My
Hmm.
players made a decision that they wanted to be around the ball to respect the ball." It's it's like it's one of the dumbest.
Oh, what the hell does that even mean?
Yeah,
Uh,
it's so stupid, but supposedly they're stopping it.
oh, good.
Yeah,
Too many
they
refs
obviously
getting in the way.
yeah, I mean, I guess
And obviously it's not working.
no, yeah, that's the big issue. Do you know what actually you might be respecting the ball too much and allowing it to gracefully fly into your own goal. So
Yeah.
maybe you need to get a little anger and resentment towards the ball. Kick it a bit harder and try and keep it away from your half of the pitch. That might be more useful.
Yeah. Show some disrespect to the ball.
Yeah. Play angry. Maybe see if I don't know, see if you can get some game-worn jerseys from the Chelsea field hockey team. See if that can inspire you pre-match. I was gonna do a Chelsea pensioners reference for you there, but it's a point of reference that I don't think you would appreciate, but it would have been a good joke. For the listeners out there, just know that in my mind, I wanted to do a Chelsea pensioners joke there, but
Any
any
other
other
sport
sport
topics?
I don't think so.
Yeah, me
I don't
neither.
think so. I did hint at this as like a brief paddle update because I know we've done lots of paddle talk. I said to you that people wasted my time Sunday night. I mean, obviously, in this general group, people say their level. I'm putting myself at a 5, leaning towards a 6 at this stage, but I will play 4 to 6 is sort of what I've decided. Like
Okay.
The fours might be a bit easier, but at least it's still like a workout, and I can kind of work on some things because, in a sense, the ball is moving a bit slower, and so I can kind of try and practice things much more easily than I can when someone's really good. Someone posted Saturday night, "Hey, who's free? We need one more person for a Sunday night. This is Sunday 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. game,
Wow.
all level
Late game.
fours." And I was like, 100% I'm in. I can do everything else I wanna do on a Sunday, play at 8. Perfect.
Oh, so
Showed
you're
up.
this guy. You're the guy who's a 6 and goes and plays with 4s.
I do get a little bit of complaints sometimes at the moment now where I'm starting t but I play nicely. Like, I'm not there just, like, smashing it, like, taking the wins. Like, I wanna play rallies, and if anything, actually, I think it's kinda nice for the because you want rallies to go on in the sport for it to be fun, and I can kinda help to keep a rally going more easily because I just won't make mistakes. But these people were terrible. We started to warm up, and as soon as we warmed up, the guy on the other side, it was him and his wife and then one of their friends. And, like, as soon as we started to warm up, the one guy was like, "You are way better than us." This was probably 3 shots into the warm up. Like, this is to have recognized this fact this early on, and then it was just awful. Like, I didn't even move to kinda play the game, and it annoyed me because it was a Sunday night. Like,
Yeah.
it was like, "What a fucking waste of my time." And I wanted to tell him. I was actually kind of it was still nice to move around a bit, but I wanted to tell him as we finished, like, "Never say you're 4s. Like, you guys are 2s. Like, you need just be honest, find some 2s to play with, but don't."
Have you held a paddle before?
Yeah, like this claiming your 4s, like, I think everyone's just decided that 4 is the respectable baseline, and so they
Yeah.
say 4s. It's like, okay, we've made 4 a catch-all term, and it should not be. Car-wise, yesterday, I really tested the limits of my car battery.
Oh
To
boy.
drive to my club, it's a 5-kilometer drive, and I measured it out because I went twice yesterday. Yesterday morning, I turned my car on, 20 kilometers left. Drove there, drove back, 10 kilometers when I parked
Oh,
in my at
no.
my house. And I was like, "Alright, we're gonna go back again. Let's see how
Oh,
this goes. I'm
no.
gonna try and drive as efficiently as possible." I fucking nailed it. I got home with 3 kilometers left. Yeah, I nearly thought about doing, like, an extra lap
Hey
to really
hey,
drain the battery.
it can't be that big of a deal because you could just literally pick the car up and carry it to a charge station.
I did definitely think about the fact that if I were to run out of battery, I could probably relatively easily push it
Yeah,
to a convenient charging station. Like, if I need to
yeah,
push it 800 meters, that's if you're
yeah,
2, it'd be
or
super
just
easy.
go to a grocery store and buy some new AA batteries and put them in.
I mean, it's true. I could just plug it into any plug somewhere, but it's, yeah. And as you may have seen from my story that I posted
So
yesterday, I was then plugging it into charge, and next to me was a guy charging his Porsche. We we had slightly different experiences as that there were
did you make eye
looks
contact with that person?
yeah, looks were
Oh, that's
exchanged.
great.
Looks were exchanged.
You should did you
The
give him the, like, "Do you wanna give it a test drive?"
the best part about it was he actually didn't know how the charging station worked, and he was trying to figure that out. And I could tell that at one moment in time, he thought about asking me, but then processed the car that I was driving and decided that he wasn't even gonna ask me. Like, I think he would have been happier being like,
Respect,
"Can't
respect.
charge this car," versus I gotta ask the guy with a Fiat Topolino, "How do you actually get this machine to start charging?" Like,
I respect that guy.
yeah. And, I actually don't know if he figured it out because I wasn't paying enough attention to if he ever really had it properly plugged in, and when I came to pick up my car later on, his car was gone, which leads me to believe because there's no way that his car charges faster than my car just because of the fact that he needs to charge, like, 10 times more than me, even if it's a
Yeah,
faster charging system. I think he just couldn't pull it off, went elsewhere,
gave up. Or maybe he
burned the
went and
car.
bought an like, a Topolino. He was so
Yeah,
excited when he saw it.
he saw how efficient it was.
"This thing charges in 4 minutes? I'll take it."
Yeah, 3 hours and 4 minutes, yeah. Yeah.
So we had a blizzard run through Minneapolis, or I guess I should say all pretty much the entire Midwest. So I had a day where I really couldn't do much, and with the Oscars coming up, I figured maybe I'll watch some Oscar movies. So I watched One Battle After Another and Marty Supreme.
Seen both.
They're they're fine.
I don't get the Marty Supreme hype at all. I don't g It was an okay movie. I'm not saying it was bad, but I was just
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, this is a movie that" I know that sounds like stupid analysis, but I watched it, I was like, "Yeah, this is fine." If you removed the hype surrounding it and Timothy Chalamet being the main character, and instead you just made that, like, I turned on Netflix and this movie was there, and Timothy Chalamet was, like, an actor I was reasonably familiar with, you would have been like, "That's okay, I'll never recommend that to anyone, but I'm not
Yeah.
unhappy that I watched it." I
Uh,
don't get why my criticism of it, and I've seen people who feel the way I do, who then I don't know why the movie thought that you would ever care about him. He's just like a completely unlikable asshole at all
so
moments in time.
so I think that to me, that's kind of what almost I think that's the best attribute of the movie, is I think he's a very good actor, and he does a good job of almost tricking you into, like, rooting for him at certain points, and then you're like, "No, this guy's a terrible person, like, why am I almost rooting for this guy to succeed?" And I think he does a very good job of that, where, like, he acts it so well, where he almost tricks you, because there were a few times where I was like, "Oh, I'd like to see him win this match," and then, like, 30 seconds later, I'm like, "Wait, no, I don't wanna see him win, he's an asshole," like, so I thought that was actually pretty good, but besides that, like, the story was okay, but I felt like for a fake story, right? For a story that isn't an actual truth, like it's not based off of true events. I mean,
Well, highly
it's
embellished based on a true
yeah,
story. Yeah.
yeah. You could have made it a little more exciting. Do you know what I mean? Like the story kind of fizzled a little bit to me, like in a fictional story.
Yeah, it jumped around a lot. Not enough time was it sometimes dedicated to sort of parts of the plot, and you just kind of jump from one to the other. It's like, okay, now he's like uh ping pong shark in New York, and now
Yeah,
there's this weird story with the dog that he's taking care of, and then oh now he's off in London playing in this like is he really good? I'm not really sure. Like, is he the favorite or is he pretending that he's the favorite? I can't
yeah.
gauge how good he's supposed to be, or if he's like I can't see that. Oh, the bad guy's this Japanese guy who actually seems like a really nice guy who's like
Just a poor
entire
deaf Japanese guy.
yeah, whose entire family died in the when the
Yeah,
atomic bomb dropping on Hiroshima,
yeah,
and, like and yet we're supposed to who does nothing but kind of show respect to all of his opponents, but we're
yeah.
sort of supposed to treat him like we want Marty Supreme to beat him? I don't really get it, and look, the counter that I hear from this, from people wanting to defend the movie is like, "Oh, have you never seen a movie before where the good guy's actually a bad guy? Like, it happens. Like, didn't you
Yeah.
like Walter White in Breaking Bad?" It's like, yes, but what Breaking Bad still managed to do, even though I walk away being like, "He's not a good guy," is it gives me reasons within his story to either to like him and maybe kind of want him to succeed, or at certain moments feel very passionately about wanting him to fail, and with Marty Supreme is like, I have no feelings at all as to whether or not I care if he wins this match. Like I and the weird thing, like he's making his own balls with that fat guy, but then nothing really came of that other than the guy like
Throwing him out the window.
yeah, it's like, oh, that's over. Okay, the balls
Yeah,
are gone. Like
yeah.
it just he comes across as just a hustler who's hustling for the sake of hustling, and where I don't and for the people who say the movie doesn't want you to, in the end, feel kind of some sort of feeling towards him, the fact that it ends on him coming back to his new child and sort of crying as he sees his child, and that is the end of the movie. I think it's supposed to make you feel as if he's had some transformational journey and he's realized what's really important in life. It's like, yeah, but you just left your pregnant like, the woman who's pregnant with your child who got shot because of
To
you,
f to
you
fly to
fuck
Japan.
you fucked off to Japan to play a ping pong game, and, like, why are we now supposed to feel like, "Oh, no, he's seen his child and his world has changed?" Like, I don't know, didn't get it.
Yeah. What about One Battle After Another?
Um, kinda also didn't get the hype. There's some really good parts of it. The initial 30 minutes of kind of building the backstory of the sort of resistance, that felt to me like that could have been a much quicker montage where it's like I didn't really need to see them pulling off various different little mini heists or whatever, and it's just like Leonardo DiCaprio just like getting horny over and over again with his like girlfriend. I just
And
didn't
Sean
need.
Penn. And Sean
Yeah,
Penn.
yeah, I just didn't. That was like that felt like that was 30 minutes that could have been 5 minutes, and then I would have been like, let's get on to the real movie now. And similarly, it felt like it was a movie that was always about to get to the really big part, like the big plot, and it never got there. It was just like constant hectic, like no one's in control of anything, and yeah, I don't know. It was good, better than Marty Supreme,
Yeah.
but yeah,
So, yeah, I agree. I think it was good. It wasn't the best movie I've ever seen at all. I think for me, I'm a huge Coen Brothers fan, and I know Paul Thomas Anderson, great director, but this felt like a little bit of a I don't know how to put this, less subtle Coen Brothers movie. Like, I think of a movie like Fargo, which you watch Fargo and it's a serious story with very upfront violence and intense scenes, but is actually a very funny comedic satire of a story, and it does such a good job of it, right? And I mean, the Coen Brothers have a few movies that are like that. I mean, that's kind of their thing. And this movie, it felt like it wanted to do that similar dance of being serious, a satire, a comedy, but it got like a little too like over the top. Like Sean Penn's character, he, he's like he's almost like too comical in a way. Like the way he walks and everything he does. Like it was a little over the top where it's like
even
they're
his
almost
name,
trying too hard a little bit. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
like it made him like a cartoon villain a little bit.
Yeah. And
Whereas the
like
rest
that's
of the
something
movie
that the Coen
feels sort of
brothers
like
didn't do.
the rest of the movie feels like some it I do agree with you. It's like how I know it's a sort of, parable for like slightly satirical, allegorical example for what's going on in the world right now, but it's at times like slightly too comedic. Like again, like Leonardo
Yeah.
DiCaprio is just sort of stoned, panicking, sort of
Yeah.
escape from his house. It's like, am I supposed to just be is this supposed to just be really funny right now? Or is this am I still supposed to be really worried about the bad guys coming to kill him and his family? And then at the next scene is very, very serious where someone's like getting raped. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about you're taking me from one extreme to the next without giving me any really real warning.
Yeah, it was like a little over the top when it like a little too tongue in cheek for me at points. Like the Leonardo DiCaprio is like a great example where it's like, okay, we get it. He's stoned and he's panicking, but it, it was like too much. It almost became not funny because it was like so drawn out to be funny in a way. So it was good. Like I enjoyed watching it, but it was just a little much.
Also, too, it was kind of weird where like it made it out that he just sort of evolved into this like sissy buffoon. It's like, well, hold on. The start of the movie, you set this up that he's just as like okay, his wife slash girlfriend, whatever, is the one kind of the driving some of the violence and maybe escalating things more than he wants it to be. But like he's still very much part of everything they're doing. And then, okay, he's now settled into a quiet life in the middle of nowhere, but still, and over the course of, I suppose, the sort of chase, he kind of rediscovers some of those bits, but he's gone so far the other way where it's like, I can't believe that this guy ever was
But then
a
also
sort
at the
of
same time, they hint that he's like super vigilant about like every day making sure his daughter
mhm.
knows that she can't do this, she can't do that, like what she has to say, she can't have a phone, she needs to have this. So he's like still super vigilant about like
Yes.
the fact that they might get caught, but at the same time, he's just so stoned that he can't remember or do anything. So like
Yeah.
what one is it?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. Overall, I think underwhelming because I also put myself in the camp. I don't quite get the Sinners hype either. I think Sinners was again a fine movie.
Out of the 3, I think Sinners might be the best of those movies.
I can agree with
From
you. Marty Supreme for me is by far the worst. Sinners is was a more enjoyable watch probably than One Battle After than I would say, yeah, Sinners was more enjoyable.
Yeah,
But even then, Sinners also felt like a movie to me where it was like 2 different movies in one, and I know that's what people love about it. I
yeah.
personally didn't like that as much, but
Yeah, I don't
I
I mean, I'll have to watch the rest of them, I guess, and see if there's another one that stands out. Um, because people love Secret Agent, I think it's called.
I haven't seen that one.
It's a foreign film, I think. I'm trying to think what other ones were even up for Oscars.
So you
Sentimental
had
Value, Train Dreams snuck in.
yeah, my favorite movie. Train Dreams should have won it all. Train Dreams is like the best movie made this year, and it isn't close. Like that, because and I want to be positive because obviously I don't want to just be like that movie sucked and this movie sucked. Train Dreams was awesome. Train Dreams is a great movie. F1 was nominated, which I don't think F1 is the type of movie that should win
I
Best
still haven't
Picture,
seen F1
but it's good. But it is what F1 shouldn't be Best Picture in the same way that a Marvel movie shouldn't be Best Picture. It's
or
just like
Top
not
Gun
that type.
Maverick.
Yeah, it's just not that type of movie, but that doesn't mean that it's not enjoyable. Like there are a lot of plot holes in F1 because that's just the way sports movies have to be like synthesized to be appealing to a mass audience. But I enjoyed F1, but it should not be a Best Picture nominee. I haven't seen Frankenstein. I haven't seen Hamnet. I haven't seen The Secret Agent. I haven't seen Sentimental Value. I haven't seen Begonia. So I cannot have an opinion on any of those.
Yeah. Maybe I'll crush through those this week.
That being said, I do feel like Michael B. Jordan for Sinners is probably because Timothy Chalamet, I don't think definitely didn't, based on how I felt, and I suppose you felt, I did not think that was worthy of winning like the best actor. Same with Leonardo DiCaprio in One Battle After Another. I haven't seen The
Yeah.
Secret Agent, so I don't know how good Wagner Moura is in it. And I haven't seen Blue Moon, so I don't know how good Ethan Hawke is in that. But
He seems like the deserving winner.
yeah, or at
And gave a
least,
great speech. I don't know if you saw
yeah.
that when he won. I thought he gave a really nice speech.
That being said, I do think Sean Penn deserved to win Best Actor in a Supporting Role because he's just fucking weird in One Battle After
It's
Another.
too
Now
much. It's too
he's a weird
much.
he's a weird dude. So I don't know how much of that is him acting versus like just being Sean Penn on set for a while. But
It was too much. He was so weird.
yeah, but that at least here's the thing. You know my belief that I don't think acting is that hard. That I think everyone could, if we pick the right role for you and with the right kind of thing, you could deliver a performance that people would come away with that being like, that guy's an amazing actor. Ultimately, I think the biggest challenge of being an actor is just being able to remove the sense of how stupid what you're doing is. And what Sean Penn did as Lockjaw in that movie, I could not remove how just insane and stupid everything I'm doing is in front of a bunch of people. So I give that more credit.
True. That's true. I'll give you that.
That I don't think is how they determine who wins Oscars, but if I had a vote, that would be my criteria.
All right. Anything else?
No, I will say I did think only really saw clips, but quite a lot of clips. It did seem like Conan O'Brien did a pretty good job hosting. There are at least like funny jokes that came out of it. I like Conan
Yeah.
O'Brien a lot anyway.
I like Conan
So
O'Brien a
it's
lot. And he always says,
but
I think he's like the perfect type of host.
yeah, but I prefer him to like Jimmy Kimmel, who I don't when he hosts it, I've never really found anything to be particularly entertaining or amusing.
Well, it's because Jimmy Kimmel is no talent, not funny,
It's
washed
true.
up.
Should be canceled. And they already canceled Conan O'Brien, so it
Yeah.
can't really criticize him too much.
All
Yep,
right.
no, it's
Well, with that, I guess we'll call it a day.
sounds good.
Talk to you later.
See ya.
Cheerio.